Hey, what's up everyone? This is Ren from China. And today I'm gonna talk about 5 things that you may feel uncomfortable, especially for the Western people, that when you are in China. And it's from the Chinese perspective. So since it's from Chinese perspective, as Chinese, we also feel kind of uncomfortable, but actually we have already been used to it. So it's really the uncomfortable things for the Western people. Okay, number 1. The people would spit on the ground all over the place. Yes, undoubtedly, it's a very common thing that you will see in China, especially for these old guys. These old guys, they just don't care about the environment, they don't care about the others, they don't have the knowledge about the bacteria. So sometimes when an old guy is walking towards you, you may saw and you may heard like, it's very disgusting, right? For me, Chinese, I also feel disgusting. So we have nothing to do it. We cannot abuse these old guys. It's just a kind of habit that has already been developed for so many years in China. And also for the people who smoke a lot, they have more tensions to do the spit. And sometimes if they can't find the trash bin, they just spit on the ground. Actually, in my university, I have a roommate that he always smokes. So I saw him just spit it on the ground, always. And for the people who always smoke, I guess there should be some problems in their lungs and their throat. There are always some stuff that stuck in their throat and they want to make it out, so they spit it on the ground. So, smoke less. Number 2, we would cut the lines and rush into the subway or shuttle bus in a very desperate way, especially in the working rush hours. And it's a very common thing that you would see it in Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, Shenzhen, or some other megacities, especially during the commute hours. That when a subway reached the station, the people literally glued to the windows. When the doors opened, the inside fighters would struggle to make their way out, and the new travelers outside will try their best to make their way inside. And usually there is a guard, there is a security that stand outside of the subway. They can determine if the subway can add one more person or it has to reduce one more person. If they think it can add one more person, they just push the people who standing on the edge, kind of unfortunately, and push them harder into the subway and then close the door. And if they think it cannot add one more person, they will not hesitate to drag one person out of the subway and then close the door. This thing is kind of surreal, but yeah, it indeed happened in China. I have been working in Shanghai for 2.5 years. I just saw this thing very often, and I also saw the people would quarrel with each other when they just struggle to get inside the subway and rob the seats. And there is also another problem that people still cut the lines here. It usually happens when you are waiting for a shuttle bus. So it's like maybe 6 or 7 people, they are waiting for a shuttle bus. When the shuttle bus coming, there are just 1 or 2 implied people, they would cut the lines. They would just go straight forward to the front, to the first place, and they just ignore the people that behind them, they just go into the shuttle bus. I have some foreign friends, they told me that in the first time they saw this, they think it's kind of implied, rude, surreal, amazing. But after a period of time, they just get used to it. Sometimes they also cut the lines. They just do the Romans when they are in the Roman. Number 3, the Chinese cars whistles is so loud. The drivers would honk the horns in a very loud way that usually it will scare the people. It's also a very impolite behavior. It not only happened in the cars, it also happened in the scooters. I remember one time I was just walking with a foreign friend on the street, and there was a scooter drove from the behind. When the scooter get close to my friend, the driver just pushed the sound button in a very loud way, which scared me and scared my friend. So my foreign friend just say some bad words to this driver, but it's a foreign language the driver cannot understand. The driver just take a glance and then drove it away. For our Chinese, we are so used to this kind of behavior. Actually, in their way, sometimes they just don't want to scare you. They just want to remind you to be careful about the transportation. And they thought if they push the button louder, if they make the noise louder, then they can get the effects. They can remind you in a deeper way to be careful about the transportation. But I know in some Western countries, like US, the people would just try to make the sound as quiet as possible. Even sometimes they even don't honk the horns. But it's a different culture, and it's the culture in China. You will get used to it. Number 4, the most dog owners in China, they just let their dogs poop everywhere. Sometimes you would see some dog poops on the street. Sometimes you won't because the cleaning workers has already cleaned it out. The most of the Chinese dog owners, they just don't realize that they have the obligations to clean out their dog's poops. Suddenly, they just let it happen everywhere. Compared to some Western countries, there are so many dog poop gadgets, like the dog poop bag, the dog poop robots, the dog poop scooper, or something kind of that. But yeah, I think it's necessary for the dog owners. Unfortunately, that most of our Chinese dog owners, they don't have this kind of consciousness. Most of our Chinese, we stepped in the dog poops from time to time. So be careful when you walk on the street. And yes, it's indeed for the Chinese dog owners, they really need to learn some lessons that they need to take care of their dog's poops. Okay, number 5, we Chinese staring at the people, staring at the foreigners. If you are a foreigner, I guess you must experience this kind of thing in China, that when you walked past by a bunch of people, and these kind of people would staring at you, they would look at you until you walk to a very far distance. I know this kind of feeling that make you kind of embarrassed, awkward, and to some degree will be kind of insulted. But you know that like 10 years ago or 20 years ago, foreigners are kind of rare in China. So we Chinese just deemed the Western people like the rare creature. We are just so curious about it. We just saw the thing we have never saw. So we may look at you, stare at you. To some degree, we maybe want to find something different. But as far as I know, these kind of things just changed a lot recently, because more and more foreigners in China, and we just become familiar with them, and we saw them in a very frequent time. We are not curious anymore. So sometimes they just treat the Western people as the normal people. But sometimes, yeah, it still happens sometimes that a bunch of people, especially for the people from the rural places, they would stare at you, they would look at you. They are so curious about you. So don't be scared, don't be nervous, don't be embarrassed, and don't think you are getting insulted. It's just a very common thing in China. And I think when the quality, when the politeness of our generation is improving, I think we would reduce this kind of behavior, and we would treat Western people in a more friendly way. Okay, thank you for watching, guys. These are the 5 things that I think you would feel uncomfortable or disgusting, especially for the Western people when you are in China. And actually, some of them I also feel kind of uncomfortable. So yeah, it's still a long way, and it has a lot of space for our Chinese to improve. Hope we will get better in the future. If you like it, please give me a thumb up or subscribe to my channel. Appreciate it. See you next time. Peace.